Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I'm here with Stash Dive Tuesday as well as the next sketch in the Follow a Sketch February, which is a hop started by Sandy with Scrapping Reflections or State Goddess here on YouTube. And the sketch is number 6 by Novelle for Scrap Melina, I think is how you say it. And so it is such a nice sketch, so simple, some mixed media, a single picture. My picture is a portrait and it is a landscape. I considered turning it, but changed my mind and decided to just work with it. I am going to trim my picture down. I have a bunch of mixed media that I want to use, and one of them is stickles, and I do use them, but not on camera, and you don't see me do it. So I promise, if you look at the pictures when they go live on Instagram, then you will see the stickles. I get so much stuff out and I set it aside, and then I'm like, oh, shoot. So anyway, I've got the spring inks from Recollections, and I've already pulled things from the Paper Studio, Stampabilities. I think I've got some Miss Grossman's. Those gems are from Park Lane. This is a little flower that came with my friend Anne Marie sent me. And then I've got some scraps that I'm going to use some of this up for the layers that the picture is on. And then I have this Becky Higgins pocket card that I thought would be perfect because my grandmother always signed cards XOXO. And since that's who I'm documenting, that's why we have all the pink and the shiny. I have my papers, my embellishments, my mixed media, my picture, and the sketch. So let's see how this goes. So in the sketch, it is matted, and it's matted on a pattern paper, but it's a solid on a pattern paper. So since I'm doing this patterned paper, I thought that I would mat on a solid so it would not add to the busy. And this is going to be busy. It is not fully monochrome, but it is pretty close. There's some purple in this base page, obviously, and on the background. And I'm going to pull in those scraps that I had, the yellows, and there's some blue. And there's a hint of color with some of these adhesive embellishments that I'm using. But for the most part, this whole thing is pretty pink. So I smear Worn lipstick, which is a Distress Oxide. And the first thing I splatter is a Distress Oxide Spray Sponge Sugar. I didn't think it'd stand out very much, but it actually does on this paper, which I was excited about. The next thing I use is Distress Mica Stain, and it is Cocktail Party. So it's a little bit on the red side, but once I splattered it a little bit, it was more of a pink. And then the last thing I splatter out is a Delusion Shimmer Spray by Diane Reevely, and it is called Bubblegum Pink. My grandmother loved pink, so I felt like doing all the pinks was perfect. That's why as soon as I saw this layout or this sketch, I said, Grandma. So I matted on some pieces that I have cut from those scraps, and I'm doing I mat it with about 1/8 of an inch matte, so you can still see some of the pink and purple and the little gold. And yes, I know I'm gonna have some gold and silver, and I'm fine with that. My grandmother loved the shiny, and so this will be fine for her. So then I do a little cockeyed matte with the yellow, and then I'm going to do a little cockeyed matte with the blue, and you'll be able to see the little bits and pieces of things sticking out from different places. And I'm loving all the color, but I did decide to bring in that black matte stack, which is a 4.5 by 6.5. I will trim a bit of that off, and I'm going to make it look like it is matting the picture. Now you're only going to see it at the top for the most part, and a very small bit in the bottom corner, but that's just because the way the picture is, and that blue paper comes down the bottom, you wouldn't have seen it. So I'm okay with that. It gives you a little bit of something there, like the solid instead of all the wild color and brightness. So I'm not sure if I have run out of adhesive yet. And if I have, then you saw that when I ran out of adhesive and I went to change it, I broke my nail. Rude. I'm still on the fence about the Tombow that I'm using right now. And it may be user error. I don't know. So I was debating on that card if I wanted the whole thing, or if I just wanted it to be kind of like a bottom mat and cut off about 3/4 of an inch to the left. But I decided to keep the whole thing because you still see plenty of that mixed media coming out on the right side. And I just love that pop of shine and glitter. And it's not the kind of glitter that sticks with you forever and ever and ever in a day. And so I decided I would keep the whole thing and just move everything over a little. The first thing I put down is that flower. Now the flower had 3 little holes in 3 of the petals, and that is because my sweet friend Anne Marie, who runs Scrapbooking the Day Away on Facebook and Scrapbooking the Day Away, she has a website which is scrapbookingwithanemarie.com. When you hit a certain amount of layouts in her membership group, she sends you a charm. And so she sent me some charms, and those actually came as a DT. I'm on her design team, and she sent those to me for something else, but that's usually how she sends them, on these cute little things she makes. And I refuse to let them go to waste, so I tucked in the 2 of the 3 petals that had little holes in them, and the other one just got a little gemstone on it. And I am going to apologize for my dog. I am not going to redo this unless it gets really bad. I'm about to close my door when I record instead of letting him run around and make a big noise. So with the title, I used the Thickers set. I think this is from Chamel, and it's just called Sparkle. And I was going to use the Greatest Sparkle, and decided that Sparkle was way too big because I've already put those little flowers there, and it was going to cover up almost all of that mixed media. So I decided to just go with the Greatest and then add that little blue strip that says Grandma, and that is 3D, and I love that. Now those silver words are actually silver on the top and pink. The foam underneath is pink. So I just thought that these were perfect. And like I said, my grandma loved the shine. So I have added all these little flowers that came from a Stickopotamus sticker sheet. I'm trying to use up as many flowers as I can. I have a million of them. And so I'm putting a ton of them, of course, pink on here. Some of these puffy ones that I put on that are the darker pink, and that butterfly at the top came from a Paper Studio collection that's puffies. The only other thing on there now is a flower that wouldn't match and some ducks. And so I add those in some different places because I want that same hot pink to be in at least the 3 different places. So I add one to the bottom corner of my picture, the butterfly, and then that little kind of blooming silver and pink flower that I tucked in behind the picture, and that yellow mat up there in the top left. And then on the sketch, there is an arrow. So I pulled my little container that came from IKEA. It matches one of my boxes that has some of my stash in it. And I keep things like that I've cut out of scraps. And I've got a bunch of arrows that I cut once when I was using up some scraps. One day I just decided I would cut a bunch of arrows with my Cricut. And I just put them all in this little thing. And so when I need an arrow, I will pull it out what I need if the color's in there. And since I'm doing pink, I knew I had some pink. And then I'm adding some little silver circles from the Sparkle Thicker set. And I've already put some on here, but they're all on the bottom. I realized there was none at the top. So I went ahead and added 2 up here to make it a little bit more even. And there is nothing at the bottom, and I'm okay with that, because there's that pretty pattern down there. That's why I decided to do the rest of the splatters and mixed media and stuff up at the top, because it was a little bit more subtle up there, so I thought it would stand out better. So here is the sketch again, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was the perfect opportunity to do Stash Dive Tuesday because I have so many flowers and so much pink. And so I thought that I would pull a bunch of stuff out of my stash and use it up. And I am super excited. I am, like I said, going to go and add some stickles in a few different places. And you'll see that if you are on Instagram or Facebook. I hope you'll go check out Scrapping Reflections on Facebook, and you can always do the hashtag to hunt down everybody who is following along with YouTube, Instagram, and on Facebook. And also Stash Dive Tuesday, all of those people will be linked below in the description box. Have a great day and happy scrapping.